often we've seen projects get off the ground, we do our fundraising and we get to that last point in terms of CapEx and we get the project there, but we've made no provision for the ongoing sustainability and the operational costs that go with it. And that it was a story time and time and time that we heard in terms of the work that we did going out into the community. So I really applaud the officers, Katarana, who's here at the back. I know that she has picked this up with a passion. The officers who have presented us today with the policy development have done so with great professionalism. I think that we're really at an exciting transition point, and this work I think we should all strongly support, knowing that the genesis of it was done in local board and governing body land together, holding hands with the IMSB. So it's a good framework that we're working from, and it's just taking it forward to that next stage. So I'd like to commend all the officers who've worked so closely with us and say that this is, again, one of those things looking 30 years out from now that is going to actually be the framework for what Auckland might be.
Great. Thank you, Councillor Fletcher. No more speakers. I'll put that. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. And I agree, Councillor Fletcher put it well. It's an excellent and complex and important piece of work. Appreciated. Thank you. And we move on to the Auckland progress update. Hi, Bonnie May.
Kia ora, good morning. I just, through the chair, would like to thank the committee for having us here today. And if it's all right with you, I'll take the report as read and just summarize some of the key points.
Perfect.
So in 2013, I Am Auckland was co-adopted by the Council and the Youth Advisory Panel as the Strategic Action Plan for Children and Young People. In 2016, we went through a progress update to reflect on how well we are delivering on the goals of the plan. We had a refreshed demographic profile, a stock take right across the council family, including substantive CCOs, and we identified some good practice and put together some examples of that practice. Full findings can be found in the status report, but some of the key achievements were over 200 discrete activities focused on children and young people were delivered. Delivery has been high in Goal 4 and Goal 6 areas of the plan, and the Council has begun to explicitly align their strategic documents to I Am Auckland. We have also found some critical success factors that we can now share in the status report. Areas for future focus include achieving Goal 7, which is all rangatahi will thrive. This is currently delivered on the least and has the least number of strategic documents aligned to it. Improving our implementation and evaluation outcomes, you'll have read about 45% of our programs are evaluated. About 10% of those are evaluated for outcomes. We need to do a little bit better on that. Focusing on education and employment outcomes for Māori and Pacific young people, as a third of Auckland's children and young people are Māori and Pacific. And continuing to focus on areas of the city with high numbers of young people, and particularly in the south. So what we're recommending here today is two things. First, to endorse the I Am Auckland status report for publication. Second, to approve the development of an implementation plan and evaluation framework, which will further strengthen the organization's commitment to improve outcomes for children and young people. It'll help us better understand the impact of our activities for children and young people. And in future, will provide some valuable insight, both for decision makers and for staff, to refine design and delivery of our practice. And I'm open for any questions.
Fantastic. Excellent. Thanks, Bonnie May. Questions? Councillor Filipaina is going to move, and I understand Councillor Collins will second. Questions? Councillor Casey.
How we get on with the CCOs?
How did we get on?
How are we getting on with the CCOs and their application to this wonderful policy developed by the youth panel?
In fact, they've done pretty well. ATEED was the only CCO that had aligned in their statement of intent and had explicitly referenced I Am Auckland, but the majority of them do have children and youth focus throughout either their statement of intent or their action plans. Obviously, someone like Comet has very high alignment right throughout their plan, even though they don't explicitly reference I Am Auckland. So not bad, and they're very open in terms of the stock take, providing information and being accessible when we needed it.
That's good to hear. Thank you.
And I guess that's the point with the development of the implementation plan. That allows us to dig down a bit more into what are the bits that are working and how do we grow those, and where there are gaps, how do we get in and make it happen. Other questions? Councillor Watson.
Just more of a question by way of a comment. The goals for I Am Auckland are pretty lofty, to say the least, aren't they? When we look at young people saying that they have a voice, they're valued and contribute, they're cared about and feel safe, they're happy, healthy and thriving. I guess some people might say that that's a bit of a stretch for council to meaningfully impact a number of areas that are very personal and often more related to family life or educational life. I'm just wondering how practical our response is across the organisation as a whole when it comes to those clearly defined areas where we have for a very long time helped and promoted the well-being of young people, like libraries for people involved in the education, sport and recreational facilities for young people, and increasingly for people getting around, transport. When the council has a clear role, or say if we take transport for instance, the cost of public transport for say school students and university, how able are we to engage and influence that particular CCO in that specific area which has a direct financial impact on young people? Or alternatively in sport and recreation, if some facility gets provided that's an outstanding success for young people, I think of the outdoor basketball courts I have in my ward, which cost quite a lot of money but has been massively successful and would be so anywhere else in Auckland. In a very pragmatic sense, how are we able to A, ensure that the traditional areas maintain their level of focus and delivery to young people, or we get to build on these new areas which we know would help young people? How pragmatic is our response in terms of results on the ground, would you say?
Through the chair, I think the answer to this question in part is designing an implementation plan. By designing an implementation plan, we have more clear accountabilities, we have monitoring of activity, and in another 3 years' time, we'll be able to tell you quite clearly where expenditure has gone and how, whereas today we're only able to give you sort of a snapshot understanding. In terms of directing our CCOs, I'm not sure that's the business of this strategy to direct our financial investment across the CCO family, but as I mentioned earlier, they have been very open to engaging with us, and I think that in future they will be open as well. They were keen to keep their focus on children and young people and contribute to these outcomes, as you can see by the case studies and the snapshots that we've profiled.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is that we've got this policy which has very desirable goals, and we know Auckland is a very young city and that there are considerable degrees of deprivation. But I'm just wondering how forcefully we're able to present those requirements that that are important from your research, but which may get lost in the morass of the organisation as a whole.
I guess that's in our hands, Councillor, to make sure that we keep raising the I Am Auckland set of policies and hold them at the front of our decision making. Councillor Filipaina.
Thank you, Chair. As one of many around this table that went to the launch of I Am Auckland, and the fact that all the goals that they put in there were from them, from the youth. So the implementation, I just wanted to confirm, the implementation is definitely going to be up to us, but not only us by ourselves, but with our youth. And I mean, the input from them is so crucial. I remember a couple of years ago talking about the rangatahi tū rangatira goal that they wanted, and still trying to be part of that with our youth panel that'll come into this this triennial. So I do look forward to the implementation, and again, as Councillor Watson was saying, just our commitment to our youth is so key, that I look forward to the accountability from the youth to us. And we have to be accountable to them, because this is their plan. And going to that launch was amazing, so thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Filipaina. So I'll put that recommendation. Oh, sorry, Councillor Hills.
Sorry, Chair, I thought we were still on questions, so I just...
We'd kind of morphed
my
into,
bad.
but
My
that's fine. No, that's my chairing a little bit loose on
I just
that,
wanted
right?
to quickly
Councillor
just
Hills, absolutely.
say, yeah, and first of all, thank you, Bonnie May. Bonnie May helped us a lot over the last few years on our fantastic youth centre, which just opened properly on Sunday in Kaipatiki, so thank you. This is great. I remember when this all got kicked off in the first term, and we got thousands of postcards and different things from young people around Auckland. This is one of the most important documents for me, I see, for the future of Auckland. And I think as a council and organisations, and as we just said the last presentation, all our partners are already doing so much in this area, and sometimes it's often we're not recording it or not celebrating it or not promoting it, often because people are just doing the work. So, this is exciting, and even looking through some of the things I've forgotten have happened or had, are great. So I think it's really important that we record it, but also, and you would know, Bonnie May, especially the tensions sometimes between those partners about council money went in, but someone else does the job. How do we celebrate and record those outcomes? And I think it's just making sure we put the acknowledgement in the right places, because I think we'll get buy-in from the local boards and those outer groups and the local youth groups and the organisations that maybe aren't even council funded but work with council. If we allow them more to be celebrated throughout the documents and just acknowledge that this group is working on this, and that it's not always the same. The youth connections or jobs things in different local board areas are different, maybe not working under the same strategies. So it's just kind of keeping that in mind with this fabulous piece of work that we can celebrate right across Auckland, but not always let ourselves take the credit or the council take the credit, and sometimes that comes across some conflict. So I think overall this is a really important document, and thank you for bringing it to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Hills. Member Wilcox.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. I've got a couple of questions. The first one you have here is regarding on paragraph 18. In your goals, you've got goal 1 to 7, and there's the Mana Whenua Kaitiaki Rangers pilot. I also just wanted to know, are we in the Parks Summer Rangers program, which does the similar thing to this but was kind of the precursor? Are we talking with them about these kaupapa that we're talking about here? Because I'm just wondering, is there a connection between this?
Yes, in fact, we worked with our colleagues in environmental services on this case study here, the Mana Whenua Kaitiaki Rangers pilot. And I believe it has now morphed into, it was a pilot, and so some of its aspects have been taken into the Summer Rangers program.
Okay, and secondly, that we have 2 local boards that have real high numbers of young people, being Howick and Henderson. Are we directing extra kind of focus to those 2 local boards? Not to say that the majority of young people are still within the Southern Initiative. I mean, not taking away that overlay.
I wonder, Member Wilcox, if this is getting down a little bit into the way, the next stage, which is as we look at implementation, how do we understand our population heat map, and how do we then direct to where needed? I think we might be getting a little bit into the detail, which is the next step. So today is about endorse the direction and endorse the implementation.
Okay, so the direction is from what I'm getting is that we want to firm up and get some consistency in outcomes. Is that correct?